Hello, Dante.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm so excited about this session. We've been going back and forth on email, and I keep showing up to all of your lives. And I guess the way we're going to do this is I want to hear about you for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, as much as you want to share with us about your everything, who you are, and everything. And then we're going to talk to the Pleiadian Council a little bit later.
Awesome. Yeah, sure. So about me again, I mean, I'm a channeler. That's what I'm doing now is I'm channeling the Pleiadian Council. Though this opened up for me on my spiritual path, which began with yoga and uh, energy healing like Reiki. And that taught me about channeling energy. And I taught that for a while until I left traveling. And I've been a nomad since I began this journey 12 years ago. I met teachers in Guatemala that opened up this psychic healing or shamanic healing for me. And from then one thing led to another. I also do astrology and I love to study psychology, self-help, depth psychology, connecting everything together. I kind of live and breathe this stuff. And as well, I travel around and see different parts of the world and kind of like a bee, like I'm pollinating, bringing energies from one place to another place. And yeah, synthesis. I'm all about synthesis. I guess that's the first start. That's the first step to introducing me.
Yeah, so I have so many follow-up questions about all of those things. So you do you practice Vedic astrology and you
Yeah.
give
Mhm.
lessons, or not lessons, but sessions.
Yeah.
Do you give
Not
lessons?
lessons. Not lessons yet. I've done some lessons in Western astrology because I did that for like 10 or so years before I started the Vedic. And the Vedic opens up just a deeper level for me, as well as there's many spiritual components. And Vedic is based on the sidereal zodiac, which is what we actually see in the sky. So when the moon is in Aries in Vedic, it literally is in that constellation, versus the Western is based on a tropical calculation, equating Aries with the equinox in
Mm.
March every year. So it's based on this tropical experience of our seasons. And it's
Mhm.
a different energy. It works just as well for different purposes. But I've
Mhm.
really found, because I'm all about the stars and, that direct perception, Vedic is working very well. And it opens up a lot of deeper spiritual connections, I find.
Yeah, that makes sense compared to Western astrology, which is what? Like, how
Very
would you describe it?
psychological. It's
Okay.
psychological and it's also very like mundane. Like, that's why we talk about the seasons as we go through it. Like, oh, like, well, we are now in what is it, Cancer season. So everybody's like feeling and processing this Cancer energy because it's up on a mundane level. Like we're dealing with that because the tropical cycle is denoting that we're in the season of Cancer. So we're aware of that, just like we're aware of that we're in summer. But now when we go to this more kind of inner level with the Vedic, we're seeing how is that manifesting for us as spirits, as souls.
Mm. How old are you, Dante?
32 and a half.
Okay, so you're 32 and a half, and you are just so wise. And I was listening to one of your last, I think it's a very short video, and you're talking about how to communicate and how we project our own stuff onto other people
Yeah.
always. And that's really hard to hear. And the way you explained it and put it out was like amazing. I've been around for a while. And I was blown away. I mean, these weren't, we expect the Pleiadian Council to be really wise and
Mm.
wonderful vocabulary and information and to stun us, but you are amazing, I think.
Oh, thank
So
you.
that's not really a question, but you can respond if you like.
I appreciate hearing that. It's really, validating. That's always helpful. And yeah, the projection thing is an interesting one. I think that's like some of the more challenging things that I've experienced with time. And I've learned this, but because I've been projecting as well, And, you know, this is something that I learned from some of my teachers about what it means when we are, you know, when we're judging others, it's a manifestation of our own self-judgment. And sometimes it's harder to face that self-judgment than it is to point the finger. And even, you know, I've come to see this at small levels, that like, even if, you know, that person is way more greedy than I am, and I can see that they're greedy, I might not be owning that there's a bit of greed in me too. And this is very common in today's world, because we have come into this way of seeing things that only the people at the top are the ones doing bad things. That's kind of like the underdog mentality that we're all kind of conditioned with. But the truth is that greed comes from fear, and who is absolutely afraid are people who don't have enough to get by. So there's the same sort of dark energies, unconscious energies, negative energies in the people that are, you know, not on the top of that supposed pyramid that we see, even to a greater extent sometimes than the people who are quote unquote above. And I don't believe in that hierarchy. I believe that's a mythological creation that we are to deconstruct. But there's a lot of that unconsciousness, and it comes up a lot where people see, oh, well, the people out there on the pedestals are this and that, but there's no inner accountability of, well, I see that in the world, but that's in me too. And once we get to that point of there is no outside, there's only a manifestation of my own consciousness that I experience when I look outside, then that's when we do the deepest work of owning our shadows, owning our own creation, owning the power of the mind to project and to create stories that we experience as reality that aren't ultimately real. But we can only do that when we fall into the heart. And this is actually connects very much with the Pleiadian wisdom, because what they say is follow your heart's excitement, passion, love, and joy to the best of your ability without any insistence on an outcome. And this is living the heart-centered life, though, you know, they don't push the idea of meditation, but it's implied as a meditation, and living, you know, focusing on our heart and being very connected with it in meditation throughout the day, passively on an inner level, is how we develop that reflex to make those choices to live from the heart. And with those two things together, once we are fully centered in the heart and we accept these ideas that nothing exists outside of me and everything is essentially a projection of my own consciousness, then magic really happens. More and more all the time.
Yeah. So, you know, we all work on this. Are you perfect at this yet, or really good at it yet? Are you?
Oh, no.
Okay, just making
I'm
sure
not
before I made the statement.
There's no
Are you perfect
perfection.
at
There's
this?
no perfection
Just this.
out there. Perfection isn't real. But people love to attach to that idea when they see people who are more famous or have everything together. They think, well, they must be perfect. And sometimes people will get close to those people, and then there's this illusion shattering that happens that is uncomfortable. And I've been guilty of that in the past as well with different teachers. And it was really hurtful when I found that my teachers were doing things that were unconscious or even harmful to others after they had blown me open and changed my life and told me the things that had brought me onto my path in such profound ways. Then I found out they were human too, and that was really hard to accept. And that's part of why I intend to show up. You know, I'm intending to show up a little bit less vulnerable than I have in the past, but owning my humanness. And I think owning my humanness in the past was sometimes putting myself down a little bit, and I've let go of that, and just, you know, at a point of like, yeah, I'm magical and I have this wisdom, but I'm also human, and I'll never let go of that. And I think that that's kind of what we need at this time, especially in the spiritual community, where people tend to want to identify with only the positive things, and I am this light worker starseed and that's just who I am. But also, you know, a light worker has to be a shadow worker because we exist in these realms, and many people don't want to step into owning that part of themselves and owning the shadow too. But you only get
and
the best
ongoing
things
shadow.
you do.
The
What was that?
ongoing shadow.
The ongoing
shadow. You know, we
Right.
talk about shadow and we can throw these words around, but like, listen, we're talking about the shadow, like present tense right now.
Yeah.
Ongoing, always going. And what you're saying really, it feels so refreshing, and reminds me a lot of my shaman, Zach Alexander, who I interviewed several months ago, said the same thing. Like, listen, anybody who is out here saying that they have got it all figured out and they have all the answers, they can show you what they've learned on their experience. I can show you what I know, and I can tell you that don't idolize me. Do not put me on a pedestal, or at least work on it, because it is very exciting, you know, at first, but it's dangerous.
Totally.
Yeah.
It feels good because there's fairy tale myths that we want to believe that we could be just perfect and good people. And we all, you know, then we want to present that to others to be liked by everyone. And I've got to a place where I'm happy to be liked by the people that I want around and not by everyone, because ultimately we actually don't have the time and space and energy for everyone. But there's something about the insecurity that we are conditioned to have through programming and through trauma too, that says, well, maybe everyone should like me. And I don't think that's true.
Right. And I think working on your shadow, we were having this conversation this morning in my Akashic meditation group. And we were talking about how we have to work on our stuff. We have to do the work, right? This is the work. But also, I was trying to verbalize, and I'm absolutely sure that you're going to do it better, is to do the work, take accountability for your part in it, but don't take the blame.
Yes. Oh, I needed to hear that too again.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I keep talking in circles and things like that, but it is so important to have that time as a victim, like sometimes a literal victim that needs to go to a police station, do whatever, or could or would, whatever victim thing. I'm talking on an extreme level, but you need to hold space for that, feel all of the emotions. And that also is part of the work. We can't just jump to the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can you?
Well, you're speaking something directly to what I'm coming to own my experience as well recently, is that I think I've been very conditioned by this accountability work. And I think accountability is the first step. And it's very important that we need to own our creation, that everything we experience is something that we're manifesting, and we're manifesting it for a reason. And the truth is that if there were harmful people in your life, at some point you made decisions to bring those people into your life. And that's a self-accountability thing. But I've recently jumped right to those conclusions and be like, wow, I've done all of this. But I've forgotten that process for a period of time and abandoned myself thinking, well, I've done all of this, and I forgot these people also did something to me. And it's really important to own and to hold that. And I was speaking with a friend yesterday who said, if you don't own the hurt that has been caused to you and keep a connection to it and sit with it, then what do you have to let other people see your side of the story? Because if you just go into this, transcendent state, which I'm really good at, and stay in the transcendent state, then people might see instead somebody who is spiritual bypassing and isn't really owning, or wasn't actually wronged and was actually maybe the one who made a mistake. And other people might not have made a mistake because now I'm not showing that I was hurt. And there's something very powerful in being able to hold all of it at once. And the issue that is fragmented consciousness or 3D consciousness is that we hold only one part at a time, and it becomes really problematic when we hold that one part and then we identify with it. So the thing is to hold all of it. Hold, I'm accountable for this. I was hurt and made a victim. It's my manifestation. They also did something. I'm grateful for the lessons, and I'm able to move beyond it and be transcendent, though I also don't forget the pain, and I can stay conscious of the pain until it's fully integrated without letting that make me be a lesser version of myself. Still be badass, still be channeling, still be helping people, still be in service to others fully, still be in the high vibe. But yeah, like that really hurt. And things will always really hurt in this world because that's the world we're incarnated into. The physical realm is one of duality. And for the Eastern perspective says this is Kali Yuga, the time of the greatest suffering, materialism, and ignorance. But also the gift of the Kali Yuga is when the darkness is the greatest, the light shines the most powerfully. And when you do liberation work during the Kali Yuga, the results come much quicker.
Yes. And somebody was just saying, just in this last full moon, I asked for everything that no longer served me to be released. And here we are, shit is falling apart, and we're like, yeah, this manifestation is wild. And then having to trust that it really is, you really called the universe, you asked for this, you're getting it. So here's the work again, is just trying to flow through it and have trust that it's for your highest and best good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's easy to talk about. It's easy to in words, and it's easy to watch somebody else go through that. But for us individually holding that for that person, like, oh, just go through it. It's for your highest and best. I'm sure it's good, like not easy.
We have to be compassionate. We have to be fully compassionate in the process and hold people and all they're experiencing and not rush it. And, yes, to trust.
Rush it.
Yeah, not rush the process. But we're conditioned to rush. And I am I'm the best rusher that I know, tried to push through things. And it's good results can come when rushing, but then you don't savor the process and it's not going as deep as it can into your cells and bringing that grounded energy. And that's the big shift for me as well, is like, let go of all sense of urgency and recognize the urgency comes from attachment and aversion, and understand that life is a huge unfolding process, but simultaneously it could end at any day, and it will. So in the end, what matters is not what you accomplish, but it's how you felt and how you bring other people to feel along the journey. Where was your consciousness? Was it in the source that knows no duality, or was it attached to outcomes and fixated in this realm only? What matters.
So source doesn't know any duality?
Source doesn't know
not the
duality.
way I pick it. It's not how I picture it.
Source contains duality, but source is beyond duality.
Okay.
Source created the duality so that we could experience it and become conscious of source while we are in it. So waking up is being able to fully embrace I am here in duality, but also what I really am is the thing that's beyond it, watching it, creating it, and destroying it all at once.
You're amazing. So when we were talking about holding compassion for yourself and, that you were really hurt, and also taking accountability for, you kind of put yourself, whether it's from your childhood wounding, and probably it is, that was your cycle and you're breaking the cycle. Those are two circles, let's say orbs. And they showed me the Vesica Pisces and the Yoni in the middle, and this is where we're supposed to be. And of course, the Vesica Pisces and the Yoni, like there are a million different ways we can describe it, but they showed me that, and then multiplying it, like popping like eggs, and the sacred geometry of the flower of life, right? So think about that one little piece, one instance, that duality here, you in the middle, and that happening in explosions everywhere.
Yeah.
Did I explain that right? It's a good visual. But that's kind of what we're doing. That's the goal, right? Is to not have one side be lopsided and centered.
Yeah, it reminds me very much of the practices that I've been doing that have helped me a lot of staying heart-centered, like the self-inquiry meditation from Vedanta is like just keeping your awareness focused in the heart. And allowing yourself to witness all the other sensations without leaving that witnessing presence of the heart itself, because the most spiritual essence is there. There's Buddhist meditations and many meditations that are similar, where the focus is just there in the core of the heart, and living with that is like we can be in that center of the Vesica Pisces, right? While all of the explosions and sparks happen outside, and we can encompass them without losing the center of it all.
Mm.
Witness them without letting them bring us down by being in the center.
Beautiful. Thank you. So where are you now anyway? What state are you in, or country, or?
Oh, I'm in Portland, Oregon right now.
Ah, okay. Do you like it there?
I do. I have some friends here. I think the culture here, the alternative culture and the spiritual culture is nice, and the nature is beautiful, and it's a city, but it has that green access within the city, which is very important for me. And I don't even feel like I'm in a city right now today. There's trees outside and it's quiet. So
Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh my God, I could just talk to you. So it's 3:26, and I wonder, would you like to talk about the Pleiadian Council, or just bring them in, or?
Oh yeah.
I know,
Yeah,
right? I'm like, just keep going.
they're my guides. There is a being that connects with a collective consciousness. And so that term Pleiadian Council is in a way symbolic. And anyone with a Pleiadian guide can tap into the Pleiadian Council, because those guides themselves are tapped into the collective consciousness of the Pleiadian world. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that does make sense. So how did you get hooked up with them? How did you know they were around?
Well, I was working with these psychic teachers in Guatemala. And some people call this, shamanic, and I've used that word in the past. I felt moving away from that word, because it's a term that comes from Mongolia, and I don't think cultural appropriation is wrong. I am a cultural appropriator, and that's another conversation. But I think that it's sometimes inaccurate. So that's why I don't use that word so much anymore. But these teachers of mine brought me through a lot of initiations, aura gazing, talking to guides. One of my teachers would bring people into the room and deliver so many messages from different guides, and be like, and you have this one and this one and that one, and this guide says that and this guide says that. And being in the field of that attuned me to that. And one thing that he said was, you can't become psychic unless you believe you're psychic. So you have to develop the belief. And we did so much belief work. And then from there, it's kind of like going, once you can jump right to the belief that I am psychic, so much changes in your life really fast, because then you start to see, well, all of the things I experience must be because of the beliefs that I have about them, and the beliefs I have about myself, and the beliefs I have about reality. So massive transformation for many years, changing these beliefs. And I think, it was maybe 2.5 years after I met these teachers that I was drawn to channeling. They had introduced me to many other materials and teachings. Here's the course book for what we're doing together. Several of the teachers were Bashar and Abraham Hicks and other channelers, mostly Bashar, though. Listening to this, and crazy things would happen to me in my mind, in my psychic connection. And I think at a point, I was wondering, what are my gifts? Let's open up more gifts. I did a ceremony to open up whatever gifts were there for me to open. And then I started hearing the voice in my head. And this was something that I had already experienced before, doing energy healing sessions. Like, I'm receiving messages. I'm a very verbal person, so I would hear literal words and phrases in my head, and I thought they were coming from guides. I didn't know exactly what guides. So I was like, well, if I'm hearing these messages and everybody is very eager to receive these messages and they believe these messages are helpful and upgrading to them, that's great. Let's see if there's more. And then I heard the voice of an angel ask me to speak the voice out loud. That first guide I ever vocal channeled was Archangel Raziel, who I was introduced to by my teacher and said this being works very powerfully with me. And then I kept trying to channel and recording it, and it was working out pretty well. Well, I didn't record it right away, actually. After that first experience, I was just like, oh, wow, that's phenomenal. And I think not long after that, I went to Mount Shasta, and I went to another channeling class in person, and I asked the channel about my channeling, and they said, oh, well, it seems like you're already doing it. Now just record the sessions and do it for groups of people. So I channeled for a group the first time on Mount Shasta, and they were just kind of blown away. They were blown away by it. They felt the energy. And the funny part is like, I couldn't distinguish between my imagination and channeling at that time. So I wasn't sure until I opened my eyes and saw that they were like crying and moved into a deep energy space. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it looks like I'm going to continue to be doing this.
This is working, whatever it is. Yeah, how beautiful.
And I'm blown away by how it's carried me through life since then. So very grateful to the Pleiadian Council.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And there are so many similarities in the personality of Bashar and the Pleiadian Council that you channel. They are a little feisty. Like Bashar can be kind of loud. That's maybe his personality. But they're fun in a very odd way.
Oh yeah.
I think.
Fun, yeah.
They are kind of fun, and they can also put you in your place. Like, weren't you listening? We told you to live your life to the fullest joy, or what they say all the time. Didn't you listen? To people? I'm one of those people I need to be reminded too. So.
Oh, we all do at
awesome.
Time. Oh, we all do.
Yeah, we all do. And so it's interesting that you were working with the angels too. Not interesting, like, wow, that's weird. But I had heard in one of your sessions, the Pleiadians saying that what do you guys need to learn about? And they said they wanted to learn about the angelic realm, celestial realm. So yeah, they put it some way like that. I thought that was so fascinating.
Yeah.
Do you connect with the angelic realm still, or mostly your guides?
Well, I mean, I connect with my higher self and whatever beings want to present themselves, whatever beings want to come through. And I'm at a place of integration. It's like, I know the doors are always open. So I think people look to, like, I honestly get frustrated sometimes by neophytes, and no judgment. I love you. I want to help people in the beginning of their path, but I need to speak a little bit to this projection of when we begin searching and wanting to open, that might be all we want. And I know that I imagine a time when in the future, if I'm this psychically open now, in the future, every day I'm going to be going out of my body to other realms and seeing all these beautiful magical things. And I lived my life that way for some years, honestly, too psychically open, too open to all of this phenomena. And then the message that I get is that now the doors will always be open, will always be there for you. You know your higher self, you know your guides. Now apply our message and change your life and change this world. And so that's why on my channel, we focus on practical wisdom, and we focus on how we can take these spiritual concepts and people can apply them in our lives And on occasion, like the last transmission, we talked about memories from Lyra. The guides wanted to talk about that, they told me. Though they didn't talk about memories from Lyra in a fantasy way, in a sort of like storytale way. It was also, how are we going to take these memories and now make the changes so we clear the karma? Whereas there are some sorts of people that all they want in their spirituality is more and more stories. And telling stories isn't wrong or bad. Telling stories is part of the process. But are your stories just fantasies that are escapist, or are your stories things that are real and bring about real change and transformation? That is what I'm interested in as a channel, as a human, in all aspects of my life.
Beautiful. And stories that don't involve fighting per se,
Yeah.
but fighting through love. I
Mhm.
wonder if you could speak to that, because this is another thing I try to explain, how I want to make myself so big with love that that my energy kind of pushes away, repels the bad, and can fight it in that way, instead of me having to be like big and strong and actually fight. There are certain things you have to fight for, but I want to be able to know the difference.
I'm learning about that too. Though I do think we need to be big and strong, though not intimidating. And maybe at times I've intended subconsciously to make myself intimidating as a form of protection. I don't want to do that anymore. Though, I mean, do you want a story that's real, or do you want a story that'll make you feel better? Like, we're at a spiritual war. We're having a spiritual war. And there are forces out there that are resisting the new earth that we are creating. And so we can live in a way where we're protected, that we don't come face to face with those people. Like, I had a really powerful reading after this intense experience happened. And there was a lot of information. And then she was like, oh, this is the point you really need to hear. Ready? Your soul contract is to bring about the new earth. The people you're in conflict with, their soul contract is to prevent the new earth from happening. We're at spiritual war.
Message getting right. So how do we fight that? That's what we need to know.
Peacefully.
How do we
the way
fight
of the peaceful
that?
warrior? Yeah.
It's very difficult for me to explain these things. I have a lot in my
So
head.
here's the thing, is that we have
so
to,
thank you.
You know, we can intend to be at peace, and we might live peacefully and know our intentions are good. Though, if, you know, there's a thing in our belief systems and our nervous systems that could get activated and trigger that primal aggression, we lose our peace, and we lose, you know, and it's more damaging when we are very pure at heart, when that survival mode is triggered. Because unlike the people who soul agreement is to prevent the new earth from happening, we'll feel regret and remorse about that, and that will delay us. Whereas they might not, and they're, you know, a lot of these people are content with their aggression. So we have to end the war inside. We have to make peace with the battle inside. And this is where things like parts work, IFS, inner child work, shadow work, they're all different modalities that are similar. Feeding your demons, all of these practices are about ending the war inside. And we can only move to peaceful resolution outside once we end the war inside. And so that means recognizing, where do I face conflicting interests and desires at a personal level? Part of me wants to do this bad habit, another part of me hates it and judges it. And so it's becoming conscious of these conflicting parts and bringing them to be at peace. And so what this, you know, and part of my remorse from my past actions, my bad karmas in the past, was trying to fight the spiritual war outside by waking people up illuminating people that didn't have the eyes to see, and letting my own frustration about the injustices of the world flavor what I was sharing. And I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not a martyr. I'm not here to fight other people's battles. I'm not here to fight at all, but I'm here to recognize the spiritual wars being waged, and the peace that I create inside of myself is how I'm bringing about the peace outside. I'm obviously not going to turn any blind eye to suffering and injustice in the world, but if it is not my fight, I'm not going to pick up a sword, and I intend to live a life without battles, having seen them crop up again and again, and just getting my little heart involved in battles that weren't mine to fight several times. Yeah. And I'm done now. We have to protect our own peace, and knowing that as we're doing that, that is bringing about an end to the spiritual war. End it inside, it ends outside. And some people might not be ready to hear that, and they want to stay on their activism thing. But the thing is about activism often is that if it's done in a way that inflames the people that you're resisting, that are wrong to you, that are oppressing you, you're not making connection with those people. And if you don't make a connection with people, you won't heal the rift, and you'll continue the war. So a lot of this activist thing that I'm very adjacent to, being a member of a marginalized community, being gay, is something that I'm now denouncing, because it's not peaceful. It's actually really inflammatory.
And you're able to, or you're working on being able to discern which battles and feel it, and that's a lot. That's a lot to do. It's a process. And so who are your role models in that war, if you will?
Oh, the Pleiadian Council. The Pleiadian Council, my guides, Bashar.
Okay.
Ama's amazing. The gurus, Sadhguru. I mean, I don't see these people as perfect. Even Teal Swan, I think that she's has a lot of manipulative and dark tendencies, but she speaks the truth, and that matters. So I don't consider her a role model. I don't model my behavior after her, but I feel like her teachings are there for a better world. And that's a bit of a, some nuance that some people won't see. I have, really my close friends and people that I see on the path. And these, though I mentioned the people big out there, but then the people that actually make the biggest difference in our lives, people that are in our lives. So certain friends who are also therapists, healers, psychics, astrologers are the ones that carry me through. And it's not that, my guides are my role model, but my guides don't fix all my problems, because they're out there in their world and I'm a human.
Right.
And I'm an animal too.
Right. And our guides are not going to tell us what to do, although sometimes they do, but not normally.
Oh, they will.
Yeah? Okay, because sometimes I guess if it's your lesson to not know and figure it out on your own.
Well, they tell me to do what my heart guides me to do. They tell me to do what my, they tell me to follow the formula. And if what I'm wanting to do is in alignment with my heart, they tell me to do it. But sometimes I've mistrusted, because not every time I do that do things turn out well. But it's because we need to learn lessons, and we need to learn lessons about our attachments. And so I was, they just want me to follow the formula. And sometimes I have to feel the strength of my attachment, my insistence, and my resistance before I can actually release it. And that's part of the process. So not just because your guide or a psychic or someone speaking on behalf of your guides told you to do something and it went awry, it doesn't mean that that was bad advice. It might have meant that you needed to do that to come into confrontation with your own belief systems and your own attachments, because you got to transform that. And you can only transform it when you hit a brick wall by encountering that it's there, discovering that it's there inside of you.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Oh, should we channel a little bit?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I was
sweet.
thinking. And I wonder if they have, I mean, I have questions that I can ask, but if they have certain things they want to say, we can just let them riff on the stage.
I'm letting my next session know I'll be a few minutes late.
Oh, are you sure? We can, okay.
I feel like it might go longer.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Hello, when we say a fantastic day to you at this moment of your time, we are the Pleiadian Council, and we thank you for allowing this transmission to take place. It is a gift, a blessing, and an honor for us to be able to interact with you in this way, and we ask, how can we be of assistance to you at this moment of your time?
First of all, thank you so much for coming today. I'm so appreciative of Dante and being able to receive his wisdom today and to be able to share it with whoever watches this, which I hope will be lots of people. It was just, he had so many amazing things to share. And this added benefit of having the Pleiadians show up is wonderful. So thank you. And I wonder if there's anything you would like, any message that you have for us today. I'd be open to that.
Well, our core message is always act on your highest excitement, love, blessings, and joy to the best of your ability with zero insistence on any particular outcome. This will lead you to your greatest evolution, open up a thread of synchronicity that keeps you continuously expanding into higher and higher frequency energies, and others around you will in turn raise in their frequency as well when you do this.
So Dante and I were talking about fighting a spiritual war, and I also feel like doing this is part of the fighting, right? So the ripple effect of me feeling bliss and living to the best of my ability through my heart space without any expectation. How is that helping the world or humanity? I know how it's helping me.
From the perspective of those who are resisting the new earth, this is your fight, yes. To be in love and service and uplift the world is to wage a battle against those who do not want that to happen. Though, while you're fighting from that perspective, there is no aggression in this. There's only pure intention and heart, love and compassion. And these energies defeat those who wish to battle against you. To know it as a war simply means to recognize that there are those who don't have your best interests, and there are those who don't have that openness to their heart and do not have that compassion. And so, while you must be compassionate to all, you must not be giving and so nice to all, for there are those that you must protect yourselves from. And you must also battle, in the sense, the temptations within you to go into lower vibrational states by identifying with lower vibrational and negative belief systems. In the sense, those are the only things you battle in this process. You may have to defend yourself at times, but that is the only battle. It is defending yourself from inner and outer negativity. Yet, let's say this, Those of you who find that you are absolutely protected from your inner negativity will never, ever have to fight the battle outside of you. Those of you who resist or identify with the negativity within you will manifest the battles outside of you.
Thank you so much. So our best, I think it's your best defense is a good offense.
The
You know
inverse.
that one? The inverse. Your best offense is a good defense?
Yes.
Okay.
It's defending yourself from your own negativity. You cannot fight your own negativity. You can only choose higher perspectives and heart-centered choices. That is defending yourself from the inner negativity. Because the opposite would be to battle your negativity. And you do this when you judge yourself, you make yourself wrong, you say that you're going to defeat this or that bad habit within you without being compassionate for yourself and for those belief systems. You cannot win from a negative belief. The stronger you fight against the negative belief, the stronger it will fight you. So you have to have love and compassion and acceptance for your own inner negativity, allowing it to be there, allowing it to be present, allowing yourself to hold it, and not give in to it, nor give in to fighting it. Fighting it is giving it as much power as indulging it. And when you recognize this, many things will change.
I don't even like to use that word fighting. What do you think about that? Like, I just would rather, I don't want to spiritual bypass. I don't want to say everything is light and love, but, you know, not fighting my negativity. I'd rather say I am addressing my feelings. I'm letting them move through.
That's exactly what we're saying. You cannot fight it. Fighting it strengthens
Beautiful.
it.
Okay.
So
yes.
Fighting it is the same as indulging it.
Yes. Okay.
It's exactly the same. Both of them will reinforce the pattern. You have to have compassion for it. If you really want to do the thing that you know isn't good for you, perhaps it is eating too many cheeseburgers, and you have the temptation, hold your awareness for it. Allow yourself to be aware of that desire. Don't shame yourself, make yourself wrong, or attack the desire itself. Be present with the feeling. And simultaneously, if your higher self knows that that isn't what's right for you, and you feel that in your heart, you cannot choose to do it. It is staying in that middle ground and then allowing for a higher mental component to be what guides your behavior. Something that is truly based in your higher self energy, based in that love, passion, excitement, and joy. When you allow those energies to be the basis of all of your actions, it will be automatic that you continue to live through the momentum generated by those choices. And then there is a trigger that blocks your momentum. And this is the moment of transformation. Be grateful when you're triggered because you won't transform otherwise. When you're triggered, you then have a choice. Do I let this trigger send me backwards into a negative momentum by either fighting my feelings and trying to repress them or make them wrong, or by indulging them and choosing to act on them? Stay in that center point, that 0 point of neutrality in your heart center. And then again, breathing into your heart, make the choice to return beyond the trigger back onto your trail of positive momentum. While remembering again, nothing was wrong with the trigger. The trigger is a good sign that you are in a process of transformation. The trigger is not a sign that something is wrong with you. only a negative belief based in resistance will say, this trigger shouldn't have happened and something is wrong with me for being triggered in this way. So go beyond those ideas and concepts and return onto the heart center into the higher vibration of unconditional love.
Is it true that living in the heart center, like it seems so easy and simple, like just go to the heart and live there, but
well, it requires action. There is the meditation on the heart center, which helps very much, that you live in a way where you're constantly aware of and connected to your heart. But then it's taking the actions that are guided by your heart, that your heart inspires you to do, that allows you to stay connected with your heart.
Thank you very, very much. I would like to ask about water today.
Oh, yes.
What do we need to know about water and its healing abilities that we don't already know? I keep getting massive messages about water, and I don't know how to interpret them.
The most important thing to note about water is its amorphous ability. Water points to the shape-shifting nature of all human consciousness. Water can be a liquid, a solid, or a gas. This is very different from all of the other elements. Therefore, water represents the ability to adapt and change form according to the world around you. And you all have this watery nature. And sometimes you confuse your watery nature and mistake what you're experiencing at an emotional level as who you are. When you understand your watery nature, you have to understand that when you put yourself somewhere that's very cold, you'll freeze. When you put yourself somewhere that's scorchingly hot, you'll evaporate. You think that so many of your reactions emotionally are about you, when really they are simply about your response to the environment you've chosen to put yourself in. And this both means the psychological environment, the relational environment, and the physical environment, and the astral environment. So understanding your nature as water then leads you to recognize, if you're going to change yourself, you have to change the conditions, the setting, and the environment that you are in. Water also seeks to fill vessels. Water goes through the path of least resistance. And this also will help you understand what to do when your emotions become blocked. You have to become like water and follow the path of least resistance. You have to make the choice that you have the least resistance to and softens your heart the most. What allows you to melt the ice and flow once again when you need to flow? What will help you to harden and solidify when you need to find structure and form? Water is, in this sense, also the most spiritual of all the elements, because it is about that transformation and that power to change shape. And this is in a way why water has been the most repressed of the elements in your world, because you live in a time that is more materialistic than spiritual. The waters of your planet are polluted, and also many times you drink water itself that is not in good condition, whether that be due to groundwater contamination, microplastics, or very many other reasons that can cause water to be an issue. Of course, the worst of all being extreme drought and water contamination with bacteria.
Right.
So you must pray to the water and know that you are made of water, and remember this amorphous and shape-shifting nature every time you drink water. Bless the water with your intentions, with the thoughts, words, feelings, frequencies, and visualizations that most attune you to your own higher self and your own greatest wishes for your experience. Imbibe them into the water as you drink it. And this will help you very much. It's not about the quantity of water that you drink. Some of you hear that water is important, and then you start to just put more water through your system, and it is not about that. It's about the quality of water, both the consciousness you imbue the water with and the water that you choose to drink.
So in a sense, can water heal us?
Well, no. You heal yourself. You are made of water, and bringing the water element to balance within you is part of your healing process. But you must also bring the 4 other elements into balance within yourself as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so
And
much.
connecting with the physical waters, both in the water that you drink and in connecting with the water as you shower and bathe and swim in bodies of water, you'll find that all of this is connected with bringing the water element into balance within yourself. Yes.
Yes, I forget the other stuff sometimes. I've been so focused on water. You're right. When crystals break, is there always a reason?
Sometimes the reason is because you dropped it. But of course, that will synchronistically align with another metaphysical reason for that experience.
Okay.
So
okay.
Look at it from many perspectives. It's never just one reason, never just one thing. Yes, it broke because you were thinking a thought in that moment that perhaps needed a splitting, or perhaps you were thinking of someone who needed part of that crystal. Perhaps where you were at, the crystal wanted to be offered. Perhaps that crystal had been holding a charge that needed to release and needed to transform. Or there are other reasons too. Also, the crystal dropped because you broke it. So all of it is true simultaneously.
Ever simple. So thank you so much for coming today. I don't want
our great thanks to you. Our great thanks to you. It has been a gift and a pleasure for us to be able to connect in this way.
Thank you very, very much.
Okay, wow.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you can just go in and pop out like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a flow. I mean, that's taken practice.
I bet it has, but you're very good. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And thank you for, giving us the extra minutes. So let's do this again. Want to do this again?
I would love to. I'll be back. I mean, I'll be back online in a couple weeks for sure.
Okay. Perfect.
Whenever. Oh, maybe I can just mention also that I do channeling live streams very often. I intend to do them once a week. Tomorrow is one. It's I think 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. And what is it about tomorrow? I'm trying to remember. It's shedding the skin. Okay. It's on the YouTube channel DANTE Starshine. Maybe you could put a link there. And my website's dantestarshine.com, and I have my offerings there, and I have a channeled book that I released. I need to update it with the other channeled book too. It's been released last year, but I still haven't made the webpage yet. Get so behind with all of the things I want to do.
I didn't know you had 2 books. I have 1.
I have 2. Yeah, I need to let more people know about that book.
Okay. So I'm glad you're mentioning it then. Good.
Yeah, that's channeling your innate value, and hopefully I can get that online soon. But it's already available on Amazon, and I have a channeling course as well where I teach people channeling and intuitive healing. So
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put a bunch of stuff underneath in the description box, but if there's one, you want me to put your website and the YouTube channel?
Just DanteStarshine.com. That links to everything else.
Yeah, it's a
and I guess the YouTube
too.
channel too. If you can put both of them, that'd be amazing.
I can.
Thank you so much, Jody. This
will.
was really, really fun.
Yeah, I loved it. Thank you so much for your time and your energy. You're beautiful.
You're absolutely welcome.
Okay. Bye, Dante.
Bye,
Starshine.
blessings. Thank you.